What can you do right now to stay focused, improve your process, and grow your business? Find out this and more with Top Producer Roundtable, hosted by Gibran Nicholas, CEO of CMPS Institute.
Welcome to the Top Producer Roundtable show. My name is Gibran Nicholas, and I'll be your host as we learn best practices from top producers from all over the country. So I'm here today with Sue Meitner, who's the CEO of Centennial Lending Group, a company which she founded, and she's the founder and CEO. Welcome, Sue.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's really good to have you on the show. I just finished reading your book, fascinating story. You actually wrote a book, so let's start by talking about the book you wrote, why you wrote it, and then we'll move into some of the other topics we have on the docket today. So tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, the book is called Crazy Lucky Girl, Do You Have the Keys to Success? And Centennial Lending Group is affectionately called CLG, so I used Crazy Lucky Girl as the C, L, and G of Centennial Lending Group. And it really goes over from start to finish, how I got started, what I did to be successful in how I sold, because I always thought selling was like dating. So it starts at just like dating and then ends at getting lucky, which was pretty much the starting of my company and how that all unfolds. And I really wanted to write it so people could see that I started a mortgage company in 2010, which was kind of a crazy time to start a mortgage company. So I always say it was like the best and the worst time to start a mortgage company. And that's what the book's about. And it goes over that it really wasn't 100% that easy. And as things came, I just had to take them as they came.
Well, I was really fascinated when I read it. And so I decided to kind of break up this interview in two parts, part 1 and 2. So today we'd like to focus on part 1, which is the concept that you talked about in the book, which is really this whole process of doing, a pre-underwriting or a 72-hour underwriting when you get the application to make sure that you're able to head off all the issues ahead of time for the consumer. And so let's talk a little bit about that. How did you come up with this concept, and how does it work?
Well, the way I came up with the concept is I had lost someone coming with Centennial Lending, because they said that when we said that we could do rush loans, they said, well, all the loans that for the company we're going to are rush loans. And I said, that's impossible. You can't always have commitments and have rush loans. So I went back to the drawing board and I figured out, how could we make every loan get a commitment within 72 hours? And the way that we worked it, and there's been kinks that have worked through this over the last couple of years, the way that we worked it out was that when the file comes in, we want to have the consumer and the loan officer benefit from a full application being taken and all the documentation coming in. So when you bring in pay stubs, W-2s, bank statements, your file can actually skip the processing file. So if it could go right from opening within 24 hours right into underwriting if it's perfect, and that would be fast tracked, or it can go 24 hours into our opening, 24 hours into our processing department, and then within 48 hours that has to go into our underwriting department so that it gets a full underwrite. So then the borrowers have peace of mind in knowing what they might have missed, what they need, and they know that they have a full commitment. So the realtors feel comfortable, the borrower feels comfortable, and the seller feels comfortable in how strong that is.
Well, I think the importance of this really, it all boils down to customer service, right? And what's in the best interest of the consumer. And the problem with the mortgage process today, I think, is that a lot of paperwork is asked for in piecemeal throughout the process. And it really frustrates people. They think, well, why didn't you ask me for this in the very beginning of the process? And I think if we can do a better job as originators of asking for everything that we need up front, everything we might think we need, everything we think the underwriter might need based on our experience, and then we ask the consumer for it up front, then this way we can have a complete package in the very beginning. The loan process goes a lot more smoothly. The consumer's not as angry as they could otherwise be. And the realtors are happy as well, because when they write an offer now, they're a lot of times able to offer like write a non-contingent offer, right, if they're getting the loan underwritten ahead of time.
Well, I think that we have put hard stops in place through our LOS system so that as the originator is asking the questions, if something else would come up, they can see, oh, you've only had your job for a year and a half. You know what? I need the W-2 from the last job. And what is that job? And then we, in addition to that, when the loan is opened, so the originator takes it, then the opener opens it. We also, when we send that application out, have developed a video that reiterates, if your originator hasn't gone over it, that we need 1 month's pay stubs, 2 years W-2s, 3 months bank statement, all pages. And on that, it actually says, don't open up any new credit cards. And if you've had any inquiries, we need an explanation for those. So we try to have a dialogue immediately with the borrower on numerous different occasions and numerous different touches so that they can get us all their information. So if you get us everything, you're going to have a clean approval. That's not to say you don't have the deals that are, fat and heavy, because you have those lots of deals that have meat on their bones. But the self-employed that has lots of credit card debt and runs their car through the business and has lived in 12 different apartments over the last 2 years, you always have those. That is going to be, more information that you need to ask for. But it's to have an open dialogue and make everyone feel comfortable and develop a relationship right off the bat and explain why you need something. Knowledge is power. If you tell the borrowers why you need something, they're going to understand it a lot better than if you're just asking for page 4 of their bank statement and they don't get why they need all pages. If you address it initially, that makes it easier.
Right. I think it really boils down to also communication. And
for sure.
And that's goes back to one of the concepts you talk about in your book, which is like, business relationships are a lot like dating. You need to make sure that you have the proper lines of communication open at all times and setting the expectations.
They need to like you.
Right.
I mean, if you don't like someone and they're asking you out on a date, you're not going to go out on a date with them. So you need to they need to like you, and everybody needs to want to be successful. You need to want your borrower to get to the settlement table. The realtor has to be involved in it, and it just needs to be a team all around so that you don't have a struggle. So, and that's the way that we do it at Centennial. So we want the telephones to get answered. We want the borrower's questions to get answered. And occasionally you have to ask for something at the 11th hour, and we don't like to do that, but we're not perfect. And I think that that's really important right up front, to set the expectations, to develop the relationship, to keep open communication so that everyone knows that we all want the loan to close, and they all close. It's just a matter of how difficult sometimes or easy it is. Most of the time, if everything's gotten up front, it's pretty easy.
Right. Well, thank you very much for sharing with us today. I guess the big takeaway for me is make sure you get everything ahead of time in the very beginning of the process, and this way it goes a lot more smoothly. So thanks, Sue. I really appreciate your taking the time to share with us.
Well, thanks for having me on. It was fun, and we'll do part 2 soon.
Part 2 next week. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Top Producer Roundtable airs every Tuesday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time and can be viewed on MortgageNewsNetwork.com.
Oh my gosh.
This is Mortgage News Network.